His blade glints inches from my throat, our breaths white in the torchlight. "You think I'd let you go that easily?" he murmurs, voice shaking for the first time. I can feel the curse writhing, hungry to punish the next lie. 48 hours ago, my world hadn't yet collapsed beneath palace stone. My name is Cael. I breathe shallow in darkness, palace rubble sealing every exit. There's a line of salt scattered on cracked stone, not straight, more desperate, my shaky handiwork. The torchlight spits and snaps, making shadows twitch. I keep counting bodies in the debris, though only I remain. Or maybe not just me. My eyes adjust, stinging from the sharp tang of salt and smoke. Across the fractured floor, a man sits with his back against a toppled marble column. He's all angles and black leather, wrists resting on his knees like this is a polite tea break and not a cage. Burgundy hair, could be blood in this light, slicked back, not a strand out of place. A knife twirls in his fingers, spinning slow, casual, like he's bored. Like he's not the reason I'm stuck here. Why is he here? Why hasn't he killed me yet? I don't know if I've seen him before today. The silence stretches, thick with dust, and the faint mildew of things long decayed. My lungs ache. I wonder if I'm supposed to be breathing. Is that allowed when your would-be assassin is watching you from 10 paces away? The salt line between us glows pale, each grain a private army. I pressed my whole hand into that line, grinding the crystals into the cracks until my skin stung. Now my palm itches. Small price for not dying. Or at least, not yet. He doesn't cross it. Doesn't even seem to want to. Just spins his knife, eyes half-lidded, unreadable. His gaze flicks up. Dark amber. Dangerous. I flinch. Stupid. Executed for flinching is not a dignified ending.
Move, and the curse chooses for us.
His voice is lower than I expect. Not a threat, but a flat fact, as if he's bored of the whole kidnapping then murder ritual already. The curse. My brain scrambles for details, but every memory slips through my fingers, slick as the blood I'm trying very hard not to imagine. He says the curse, like we're both marked. And maybe we are. Maybe that's why there's salt between us instead of steel. My mouth is dry. I want to ask what happens if I step over the line, but I get the feeling that would be showing my hand. The last stupid question of Cael of Nowhere, soon to be a very dead nobleman. I try humor, because if I don't, I'll scream. Let me guess, if I move, does something explode, or do we just get matching rashes? He doesn't smile. The knife stops spinning. He lets it settle, blade down, palm open. His other hand, big, calloused, scarred, absently traces a silver ring on his thumb. Not glancing at it, just feeling the metal like it's a habit. Or maybe a promise.
You cross. One of us dies.
That doesn't narrow it down, but at least it's clear. My heart trips in my chest. Not the banned phrase, just a weird, uneven flutter, like my body can't decide how much danger counts as too much. No reaction from him. Not a twitch of regret, not a flicker of excitement. Just watching. I wonder if he's waiting for me to beg, or bolt, or do anything other than sit here like a moth staring down a bonfire. My legs are cramping. I shift, wincing as my boots scrape gritty salt over the stone, the scratchy sound too loud, embarrassingly human. His eyes sharpen just a fraction. I freeze again. I could ask who he is, or why he looks at me like I'm both a threat and a disappointment. But I already know his type. Assassin's build, noble posture, that whole dangerous and bitter aesthetic. Loner. Not the sort you invite to brunch. But there's something else too. Something in the way he tenses when the corridor above shudders, like he's not here by choice either. My tongue is so dry it might crack. So if I stay perfectly still, what? We rot together. Great plan, my therapist will love this. He doesn't blink. Just studies me, thumb worrying the silver ring. jaw tight.
I told them losing you once was enough.
That lands like a stone in my gut. Once? My skin prickles. I don't remember dying the first time. I don't remember him. But the way he says it, like it cost him something. And now I'm stuck, trapped on my side of the salt, staring at a man who might know more about me than I do. The torch hisses. The salt line wavers in the flickering light. I drag my gaze to his hand, fixating on the silver ring, the way his fingers tighten around it. And for a second, I almost ask if he's afraid, too. He looks up. The knife gleams between us. His lips part, as if to speak. Then the sound of shifting rubble. Closer this time. Heavy. Human, or something pretending to be. We both turn, but he's faster.
Stay behind the line.
Like I had any plans to do otherwise? But as the footsteps echo through the stone, something shifts. Not just in the corridor, but between us. A tension, live and raw. I get the sickening sense that if anything crosses that line, it won't just be my life on the table. And that's when I realize I'm not the only one trapped by the curse. I'm just the only one stupid enough to joke about it. Grit scratched at my knees as I shifted. The salt line between us was stubborn, glinting faintly under flickering torchlight. The mineral tang of it hovered in the air, sharp as accusation. My mouth tasted like I'd licked the palace cellar, which, considering I'd just crawled out from a pile of smashed pillars, maybe wasn't far off. For a cursed death trap, the underground chamber had ambience, cracked marble, the distant drip-drip of water, and a guy who looked like he'd come straight from a villain casting call. That would be Thane, assassin, possible contract killer, and now my extremely unrequested roommate. I cleared my throat. The sound bounced off stone, way too loud for the conversation I was about to start. My palms, gritty with salt dust, pressed into the floor for balance. Not that I was unsteady. I am, after all, deeply composed. Always. Except for the small matter of being magically tethered to a guy with a knife collection.
So, I said, because someone had to break the silence before it calcified. We're trapped together. I vote no stabbing before breakfast.
No stabbing. Yet.
He didn't even look up. Just rolled a blade between his fingers like he was considering whether to carve up the salt line or my pride. Yet, I clung to that word like a man in a sinking ship. He always made threats sound like promises. I took a breath, the flavor of salt sticking to my tongue. Winning this negotiation was less outsmart the assassin, more don't humiliate myself before collapse. I tried for casual, which is hard when your knees are screaming and your dignity's somewhere under a pile of rubble. All right, I said. Rules. If I die, you die. That's the curse, yeah? His amber eyes, annoyingly piercing, annoyingly close, flicked to mine. I caught myself staring. It felt like he could see every nervous thought rattling around my skull.
If either crosses the salt, the curse reacts. Harm me, it takes you too.
He punctuated it by tapping the small pouch at his hip. Salt dust shimmered in the air. The detail slipped into my brain. A tiny, ordinary thing with claws. Why does he touch it like it matters more than his knives? I tried to look unbothered, but my mind was running laps. So basically, mutual destruction. Classic. That's comforting. With a side of existential dread. I reached for a broken slab to sit up straighter, gritting my teeth as sharp pain lanced through my side. The injustice of it all settled in. I was exhausted, starving, covered in suspicious bruises, and this guy? Not a strand of hair out of place, just watching, maybe even amused, which, frankly, rude. If I was going to die here, the least the universe could do was mess up his hair. Let's say, hypothetically, you try to kill me, I said. What's stopping you from just, I mimed a throat slash. Humor. My last defense.
Nothing. Except dying beside you.
His voice was so flat, I almost missed the crackle beneath. There it was. The room tightened. My skin prickled with the awareness that our fates were tied closer than any rope. Not enemies, not allies. Something infinitely worse, necessary. The room tightens and their fates are more intertwined than ever. What will happen next? If you're hooked on this tense moment, hit subscribe. Now, let's continue. I tried to remember how I got here. Flashes. The palace collapsing. A curse I never meant to trigger. Voices shouting over the roar of falling stone. But the memories slipped like water through salt-stained fingers. I looked at Thane. He looked back, unreadable as ever. My throat was dry. So, terms of survival then? My voice was thinner than I wanted, but I held his gaze.
Stay on your side. Don't test me.
He let that linger, heavy, almost gentle. And just as I wondered if I could ask why he looked at me like he'd seen this before, a distant scrape echoed through the darkness. The sound bounced off cracked pillars, sharp and real. Both our heads turned. I felt the salt in my lungs. Someone else was down here, and this time, the rules might not save either of us. Flickering torchlight spits shadows across the rubble. My knees ache from crouching, but the alternative is talking to Thane, so I keep sifting through debris. My fingers are already dust-caked, and that's before I spot the bruises peeking from under my sleeve. Oh, good. Matching souvenirs from last night's disaster. At least they're the fashionable kind. Purple, angry, and impossible to ignore. I glance up, just in time to catch Thane studying my wrist. His gaze is too sharp for comfort, amber eyes picking out every welt. For a second, I almost expect him to say something. He doesn't. His jaw tightens, the smallest crack in that marble statue routine. Then he looks away, like I'm something he'd rather not see. The silence stretches, crackling torch, shifting rubble dripping water somewhere in the dark. I should say something diplomatic. Instead, I reach deeper into the broken marble, pretending I'm not cataloging the injustice. The bruises, the salt line, the way my autonomy has been reduced to don't die or you both die. Classic. My hand brushes gritty salt. I flinch, half expecting the curse to flare. It doesn't. Just stings, coarse grains digging into raw skin. My other hand closes on something hard, cold, and oddly heavy. I dig it out. A signet ring. Half buried, rimmed with old dirt, the metal cool and solid in my palm. There's a crest engraved on it. A tower split by lightning. I know that symbol. Almost. I curl my fingers around the ring. Thumb tracing the groove. The metal's chill settles into my skin, grounding and unsettling at the same time. Am I supposed to recognize this? Or is it just another relic of a family that never cared if I lived or died, as long as I kept bowing at the right moments?
Don't cross the salt.
His voice, quiet, flat, softer than it should be. More warning than command. He's watching me again, like he's worried I'm about to do something monumentally stupid. Which, statistically, is fair. I hold up the ring. You know this crest? My voice is too casual, but I'm not giving him the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. Not after last time. Thane settles back, the leather of his jacket creaking against stone. He doesn't answer, just stares at the ring. Something bleak passes through his eyes before it's shuttered, the way storm clouds eat the sun and pretend there was never any light.
Leave it. It's not yours.
I almost drop the thing, just to spite him. Instead, I press it deeper into my palm, letting every groove bite. Not mine. The bruises on my wrist, the blood on the marble. None of that was mine either, apparently. The salt line glows faintly at the edge of my vision, slicing the chamber in two. I weigh the ring in my hand, heart skipping in that annoying, traitorous way. Is Thane hiding something? Or is the curse eating at him too? He looks away, shoulders tense. My pulse kicks, the question blooming like a bruise. Whose crest is this? And why did he look like it hurt to remember? Before I can ask, stone shifts behind me. The signet bites into my palm. I turn, expecting nothing but a slip of parchment flutters out of the rubble, landing at my feet. Crack! The floor buckled beneath my boots. Not a polite warning creak, but the bone-deep kind of threat that says, "Congratulations, your day is about to get so much worse." Salt grit sprayed the air as the trembling slab jerked sideways, scattering the fragile line that separated me from the guy fate paired me with for a fun death magic 2-for-1. There was no time to choose dignity. My heel slid, arms flailing, and I stumbled straight through the faded salt like a very graceful, very doomed deer. My shoulder clipped a broken column, a sharp sting. Then, impact. A hand seized my arm. Firm and unyielding, his grip closed just above my elbow, anchoring me mid-sprawl. A fierce, tingling pressure radiated from his palm through my sleeve, as if he'd grabbed a live wire instead of a person. The curse should have bitten, burned us both for crossing its line. Instead, the pressure held steady. No agony, just heat, and the sick rush of realizing I was breathing Thane's air, way too close for the curse's comfort or mine. He didn't let go.
You all right?
2 words. My thoughts scattered like the salt at our feet. You all right? Did he mean physically or existentially? Was I supposed to answer with a witty retort or just melt into a puddle of anxiety on the marble? Meanwhile, the stones beneath us groaned again. A cascade of dust rained from the ceiling. I was still clinging to his arm like the world's least dignified barnacle. Fantastic. I tried to pull back. The curse thrummed under my skin. Not painful. Not yet. But a warning the way a snake coils before it strikes. My pulse. Loud, insistent, annoyingly obvious. But his grip gentled, thumb unconsciously brushing the inside of my elbow. He looked at me. Sharp amber eyes. Unreadable in the guttering torchlight. Cool. Collected. Like saving me from a floor-induced faceplant was just another Monday. The guy was a professional assassin and apparently part-time human airbag. My mouth remembered it could form words. Barely. Thanks. I would have preferred a less dramatic entrance.
You always cross lines like that?
If I weren't afraid of setting off a curse-induced explosion, I might have laughed. I focused on the feel of his hand, still on my arm, still warm. Definitely not letting go. The salt line was broken, and so was whatever rule said touching him should kill me, unless, of course, it was just running a little late. Delayed death. The remix. I tried to steady myself, cataloging the sensations. Smoky torch oil stung my nose. The floor vibrated against my knees. His palm, through velvet and linen, burned like a promise I couldn't interpret. I was half convinced either of us moving would ignite the world. A beat of silence. Then a new sound. The drip of water from somewhere deeper in the fissure, echoing through the chamber like a countdown. I had questions. Too many. Why wasn't the curse punishing us for this? Was I supposed to yank away and risk shattering both of us? Or just stay here, memorizing the way his knuckles whitened and then relaxed around my arm?
Don't move. Not until it settles.
I froze. Not that I was going anywhere. The universe had a sick sense of humor, pinning me in place, forcing me to notice everything. The gritty salt clinging to my boots, the faint tremor in Thane's fingers. The fact that he hadn't looked away. For a wild, traitorous moment, I wondered if the curse was waiting for something. A real mistake, the kind you don't come back from. He didn't drop my arm. Not immediately. Tension coiled between us thick as the dust in the air. My skin prickled under his touch, every nerve screaming confusion. The boundary had vanished. The rules didn't apply, or maybe they'd just changed while I wasn't looking. The torch guttered, shadows shifting across stone and skin. And Thane, finally, loosened his grip.
There's more coming.
His words barely above a whisper. But the curse didn't answer. We both turned at the same moment, toward the fissure, where the darkness pulsed, waiting for someone to be the first fool to step forward. Gritty salt pressed into my palm. Not on purpose. The floor in this corner is a graveyard of marble chips, torch ash, and things I'd rather not think about. My legs are numb, my back scraped, but hey, still breathing, which is apparently more than the tapestry behind my head can say. Once royal, now a drooping mess, its gold thread fraying out like someone tried to strangle it with time. Across 3 feet and a broken salt line, Thane sits with his knees drawn sharp to his chest, knife idle between ringless fingers. Flickering torchlight throws gold across his jaw, and for a second I see the man they paint on wanted posters. Then he blinks, and it's just Thane, quiet, infuriating, real. I poke at the tapestry thread. It flakes in my fingers. So this is what royal history looks like up close. Dusty, kind of itchy. Not really expecting him to, but I'm bored, and boredom plus assassin equals questionable life choices.
You're injured.
He says it like it's an accusation, not a concern, but I catch the way his gaze dips to my side. The scrape, right? Shirt torn by debris? Nothing fatal, just stings. I shrug, which is code for, I'm fine, but if you want to carry me out, I won't stop you. You? My voice comes out too casual, like I haven't been mentally cataloging every line on his face for a sign he'll snap. He runs his thumb along the blade. Careful, not bleeding. Yet? That yet hums in the air. He tosses it out there. Lets me wonder what he means. Is he threatening me? Himself? The universe? My mouth acts before my brain checks in. You always this chatty, or is it just the ambiance? Because honestly, the mildew's working overtime. His lips twitch. The world does not end, but I swear something shifts. Like the torch flame leaned in to listen.
Politics are less suffocating than this.
A joke. Deadpan, so dry it might be a mirage, but it's there. For a beat, I forget the knife, the curse, the way every sound down here echoes like a warning. I laugh. I can't help it. It comes out softer, brighter than I meant. He looks at me, really looks, like he's cataloging the sound. His jaw unclenches. The silence after feels almost gentle. I glance at the gold thread again, twisted around my finger now. Didn't know assassins had political opinions. Thought you just stab things. He's quiet. I start to think he'll retreat into that fortress behind his eyes. But then,
once, I lost everything to politics.
The words drop heavy as marble. My pulse stumbles. I want to ask, what did you lose? Who took it? Why does it still hurt when you say it? But the questions tangle in my throat, too raw for air. His eyes drop to my wrist, where the gold thread is biting into my skin. He doesn't reach out. Neither do I. More rumble overhead, some part of the palace still falling, or maybe just old ghosts shifting in their crypts. We don't move. Too close for strangers, not close enough for anything else. He speaks once more, voice low.
Don't get hurt again.
It should sound like a command, but it hangs there, a plea, an apology, a promise I'm not supposed to hear. My fingers loosen on the thread. For a second, I want to believe him. Dangerous. Something changes in the darkness. More than the air, less than a confession. I don't ask what he lost. Yet, rubber grit pressed into my knees. The alcove was thick with dust, rotten salt, and the torch on the far wall flickered like it might give up any second. Breathing through it felt like swallowing stone. I told myself I didn't care if Thane watched me cough. I was past dignity with him. Or maybe that was just what I needed to believe. But I didn't know what I'd do if he looked at me differently now. He sat, back against cracked marble, twirling that damn knife. His knuckles gleamed in the low light, fine lines etched across the skin. The broken salt fissure split the floor between us. Jagged, ugly, still faintly glowing. I stared at it like it might explain something, if I glared hard enough. Then I caught it. A glimpse of his wrist as he wiped a smear of dust from his face. Not the old faded scar on my own arm, but a near identical one in the same place. Raised rough, the kind you get from pain that won't let you heal pretty. I wondered, was it a coincidence? Or something more? I tried to play it cool. Failed, obviously.
You know, I thought assassins were supposed to be good at hiding their wounds.
Thane's gaze didn't move from the knife, but his hand stilled.
Wrong kind of wound.
My mouth had never been particularly good at shutting up when it should. I leaned in, elbows biting into marble.
So what was it then? Some secret initiation? Or just a very literal sense of style?
He looked at me. Every inch of my skin felt too tight.
You ask too many questions.
I almost laughed, which was ridiculous, considering my hands were shaking and the cursed air made my head light. That's rich, coming from the man who nearly gutted me for breathing too loud. I reached across the fissure, not really thinking, just moving. My thumb brushed over the scar on his wrist before I could talk myself out of it. The raised line was rough, jagged, badly healed, exactly like mine. It hit me harder than I expected, like looking at my own wound in a broken mirror. Thane didn't pull away. His entire body went still, like a hawk right before it strikes. Or flees. The torchlight caught on the pale mark under my thumb.
You have the same scar.
My voice wasn't steady.
Don't tell me that's coincidence.
He was silent for so long, the sound of water dripping somewhere above us started to count seconds.
You really want to know?
Did I? The rational answer was, hell no. But what kind of idiot gets magically handcuffed to an assassin and doesn't try to find out why? Try me. He shoved his sleeve up, exposing the full length of the scar. It twisted over bone like a pale rope burned into flesh.
Binding ritual. Failed one.
The words rattled in my head, rearranging everything I thought I knew about curses and killers, and the reason why our lives seemed welded together. I traced the edge of the scar, not letting myself flinch. My own wrist stung in sympathy, almost as if the old wound remembered its partner. His skin was warmer than I expected, not soft, not gentle, real. Every nerve in my thumb mapped the roughness of that history. Self-preservation finally kicked in. I jerked my hand back, but not before something. A spark? A shiver? I refused to name it. Shot straight up my arm. He watched me. His face was unreadable, but his jaw had gone tense.
Don't test the curse.
I wanted to argue. I wanted to grab his arm and never let go, just to prove I could. But my own wrist ached, and the memory of pain sizzled where our skin had touched. We'd both been marked by the same ritual, but he knew more. He always did. I wrapped my arms around my knees, trying to play unaffected. So tell me, Thane, who botched the ritual? Ourselves? Or someone else? Torchlight flickered against his eyes, catching a glint of something softer. Or maybe that was just wishful thinking.
Ask again tomorrow.
He turned away, shoulders rigid, but I saw his fingers flex, like he was resisting the urge to reach back. The scar on his wrist, my wrist burning with questions I couldn't stop asking. I thought about risking another touch. If I pressed my luck, what would the curse do? What would he do? Somewhere above us, another chunk of marble shifted. Dust rained down, and for a split second I wondered if that was the world's way of telling us to stop. Or to keep going. I didn't move. Because suddenly, the most dangerous thing in this ruined alcove wasn't the curse, or the salt, or the half-collapsed ceiling. It was the question of what I'd do if he ever let me touch him again. Blood smears slick where my fingers slip over broken marble. I didn't even feel the cut until the cold bit through the grime, and something sharp and stinging worked its way up my arm. The salt grit digging into my palm is the least of my problems. I yank my hand back. The rock doesn't budge. Classic. The collapsed archway looks exactly as welcoming as it did 10 minutes ago. A mess of pale stone jumbled over the only route out, streaked with a line of red that's definitely mine. The torchlight flutters. sending everything lurching in and out of clarity. In this beautiful hell, I get to bleed on royal architecture and regret my entire life. My one skill, dramatic timing. Thane's watching. He's always watching. From the other side of the fractured salt, he's all edges. Jaw clenched, that ridiculous jacket somehow untouched by the sludge and dust coating the rest of us. His eyes cut through the gloom. I feel every ounce of his attention like cold iron pressing against bone. The salt boundary is broken. Fractured. One more reminder that rules here are written in salt and blood, and both are running out. I try to swallow the pain. I fail. My hands shaking now, blood beating bright against the ruin. It's stupid, but I can't stop staring. The drip, the spread, the way my breath fogs with every pulse. I don't look up, but Thane moves, fast, boots scraping through the grit. One dark shape suddenly too close. He crosses the line, the one neither of us is supposed to cross, and kneels beside me. Cold air swirls up dust and something sharp like old iron. He doesn't speak, not right away. He takes my wrist in his hand, firm, not gentle, but not rough either. I flinch. He doesn't let go. The warmth of his skin is shocking after the cold stone, after the numb ache threading through my arm. He pulls my hand closer, inspecting the wound. Even now, he doesn't bother with questions.
You're bleeding.
No shit. I almost say it, but the words stick. There's something in his eyes, something that looks too much like fear. For me? Or for what he just did? Maybe both. His grip tightens for half a second. A warning? Or is he just as freaked out as I am? He digs in his jacket for a strip of cloth. The torchlight throws lines across his face, sharp and unforgiving. My hand is still in his, throbbing. I try not to let him see how much it hurts, or how stupidly aware I am of the way his thumb presses the inside of my wrist. I should pull away. I don't. Instead, I watch him wrap the cloth around my palm, his movements precise, but not entirely steady. His hands are shaking, barely but definitely. Is it adrenaline? Anger at me for getting hurt? Or something else? He ties the makeshift bandage, fingers lingering a second too long.
You shouldn't touch the stone.
His voice is quieter than usual. Almost. But no, that would be concern, and that doesn't fit his character sheet. I want to laugh. I want to tell him I don't make a habit of bleeding on ancient curses, but I can't get the words out. He's so close I can feel the warmth of his breath on my knuckles, quick and uneven. Our foreheads nearly touch. The space between us is full of things no one talks about. Rules. Broken. Boundaries ruined. The curse, twisted tighter every time one of us does something stupidly human. I force my hand to stay relaxed. If I pull away now, what happens? Does the curse snap back? Does he get hurt because I couldn't handle a little pain? Or does nothing happen at all, and we've both been afraid of the wrong things this entire time?
Don't move.
It's a command and a plea. My breath stutters. There's nowhere to go anyway. The archway's collapsed, the salt's fractured, and Thane's face is maybe 6 inches from mine. I can count the flecks of old blood on his jacket and every line of tension around his eyes. He finishes the knot, but doesn't let go. His hand stays over mine, steadying the tremor in my fingers. Or maybe in his. For a second, neither of us says anything. I wonder if the curse is watching, waiting to punish us, or if it's holding its own breath, just to see who'll break first. The silence is broken by a slow, deliberate exhale. His, not mine. I finally look up. His eyes are fixed on my bandaged hand, but his jaw is set, mouth pressed into a line I want to trace with something other than sarcasm. I say the first thing that comes to mind, because that's my brand. So, which is it? Do we die now, or do we wait for the next architectural disaster to finish the job? His lips twitch, almost a smile. Almost. He releases my wrist, slow, reluctant.
If you're lucky, Neither.
Lucky. Right. I try to hold on to that tiny bit of warmth where his hand was. Hold it like a shield against the cold and the fear, and the 1,000 curses curling in the dark. But even as I do, a new fissure glows to life across the salt line, jagged and hungry, stretching toward us. And for once, neither of us moves. Not yet. Boots. Somewhere up ahead. Muffled footsteps. Closing in fast. I press my palm to the wall's cold stone, blood sticky between my fingers, breath tight in my throat. The corridor stretches out before us, flickering torchlight, broken marble, the smell of salt and old secrets turning to rot. But I wonder, who else is lurking in this darkness? I don't know what's worse, what I see or what I don't. Thane's crouched beside me. Close enough I can feel the heat from his skin, but he doesn't look at me. He fixes his eyes on the darkness, amber catching the firelight, one hand resting on his knife's hilt. He looks like he's waiting for the world to end, or for someone to try. Suddenly, 3 more voices echo, scraping together in the stone, indistinct but definitely not friendly. Rescue party? Search party? Murderers? The cursed palace's twisted game. Who can tell the difference? The sound of boots grows sharper, then smudges against another drip of water from somewhere deep behind us. My pulse matches the footsteps, humiliating, like a traitor in my own body. Thane leans in, voice barely above the scrape of my boots against debris.
Quiet.
Command, not a suggestion. I'm supposed to be the diplomat here, but even I know when to shut up. I hold my breath, hate myself for it, and listen. The footsteps pause, then scatter as if the group is splitting up. One set is coming straight down the hall. Our hall. My skin prickles with that old traitorous thrill, hope that always betrays. But then a question gnaws at me. What if they see us? Or worse, what if they don't? My hand finds the fraying thread of my sleeve, where it caught on the marble. I focus on the physical, the grit of stone under my knees, the smell of torch oil, Thane's tense body radiating heat like a second torch between us. I hate that the decision is in my hands. Or worse, that it's in his. If they're friends, we live. If not, I let it trail off. I'm supposed to be good at words, but there's no clever phrasing for torn apart by curse-mad soldiers, or rescued by people who probably want me dead anyway. Thane doesn't reply at first. His jaw flexes, a muscle twitch under his skin.
We wait. Move if they get too close.
Right. Let the would-be assassin decide my survival strategy. That's a normal Tuesday. The footsteps grow louder. My heart rattles in its cage, desperate and annoying. If they round the corner, we're done. Either discovered or forced to run deeper into whatever subterranean pit this palace has hidden beneath its floors. I whisper, "Do you have a plan? Or are we just improvising now?" For a beat, I think he'll ignore me. Then his mouth curls at one corner. Not a smile, not exactly, but
Improvising. You hate it.
I should be insulted. Instead, I nearly laugh, the sound choked and wild in my throat. Humor, in the world's worst moment. It's stupid, reckless, makes me want to grab him by the collar and demand he say something real. Or maybe just breathe, because he's the only thing here that doesn't smell like death and salt and old marble dust. The boots are almost on us now. I see torchlight splintering across the far side of the corridor, a jagged smear crawling toward our hiding place. My body screams to bolt. My brain screams to freeze. Thane glances at me, just once, eyes sharp and unspoken, daring me to choose. I do. I reach for his wrist, skin warm, pulse steady, his fingers tense under mine. It's barely a touch, but enough. Enough to say, "Don't leave me." Enough to make something in his expression break for half a second, like the fracture still glowing faintly in the salt behind us.
Stay behind me.
I want to argue. I want to scream. But I let my hand linger. The boots stop just beyond the torchlight. A new voice, cold and clear, cuts down the corridor.
I saw them. They went this way.
Thane's knife is in his hand. My pulse drums loudly in the silence. Then, a voice from behind the shadows, sharp and commanding.
Get ready. They're close.
We run. The sharp tang of salt stings my nose as I scramble across the fractured marble. Boots skidding on gritty stone. Torchlight flickers over the wreckage. Broken doors, bodies tangled. Guards in scarlet livery pouring through the collapsed corridor like rats from a sinking ship. I should feel hope. I don't. There's a reason the cavalry never arrives for people like me. But then, I wonder, what are they really after? One of the guards shouts something I can't make out. The echo bounces too many times off the stone. Thane's beside me. No, in front. Subtle, but deliberate. He blocks the way, broad shoulders taut, jacket stained with dust and my blood. The guards don't look relieved to see us. Their faces twist, uncertain, eyes flicking between me and Thane as if trying to decide which of us is less expendable. I know that look. It never ends well for the pawn. A blade flashes. I flinch, stupidly late, as a hand clamps onto my arm and yanks me hard enough that my shoulder burns. The world careens. Torchlight, blood, rough wood splintering against my back. I don't even get a quip out before the guard's grip tightens like a man wringing out a dirty rag. My breath hitches. My pulse spikes. Taste of iron and panic. The curse reacts. White hot. It's like 1,000 needles ignite in my veins at once. Not just pain. A searing raw burn that screams through every nerve, anchored to the spot where the guard's fist crushes my skin. My vision narrows. I bite my tongue. Because the only thing worse than screaming here is letting Thane hear it. He hears it anyway. His face doesn't move, but the line of his jaw goes hard, eyes too bright in the dirty torch glow. I see it. A flicker. Some internal wall buckling as he steps forward with murder in every line of his body.
Let him go.
No thunder, just flat steel. The kind of voice you'd use to order an execution. The guard hesitates. I get it now. This isn't a rescue. This is leverage. Their orders were never, save the stray prince. The pressure on my arm increases. The sigil on my ring digs into my finger. Useless. Betrayed twice in a week. That's a new record, even for me. The pain sharpens, slicing straight through any bravado I have left. I try to twist free, but the curse spikes again. A tidal wave of fire roaring up my spine down into my bones, and, gods, it isn't just me. I can see Thane stagger, one hand flying to his chest like he's been stabbed. We are performance art now, the doomed kind. My mouth tastes of salt and humiliation. A second guard steps up, voice shaking.
He fights, you both die. That's the deal.
Great. Simple math. My choices: betray Thane or end up as a cautionary tale in some scribe's footnote. Thane's gaze snaps to the guard. Something ancient in his eyes. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder.
Try me.
The curse erupts. I don't even remember falling. Just slick stone under my knees, every muscle locked as if I'm being cooked alive from inside out. The sound that tears out of me isn't human. I see Thane drop too, forced flat by pain we share, his hands clawing for the guard's blade without hesitation. This is the part where I should let him go. Save myself? Let him take the knife meant for both. I can't. I reach for Thane, not brave, just furious at the universe for making me care. The guard's blade swings down. Thane lunges, his arm thrown between me and the descending steel. Everything explodes, not just outside, but in. The curse detonates in both of us, a burning wave that incinerates thought, pride, everything I ever tried to protect. I hear myself screaming, or maybe it's Thane, or maybe it's both. Doesn't matter. There is nothing but pain and the fact that he didn't flinch away. Above me, Thane's voice, broken, raw, nothing like the man who threatened kings.
I'd rather bleed than lose you again.
The world blurs, the curse, the guards, the torches, all of it fades beneath that sentence. He chose agony. For me, not for a throne, not for a command. For me. Then, silence, except for the drip of blood on stone, the crackle of torch flames, and the sound of the chain finally snapping between us. I look up. The guard's blade is slick with crimson. Thane's arm hangs useless at his side, eyes fixed on me like I'm the only thing left in this rotten maze. My voice barely works. Do I reach for him? Do I run? Do I let the world collapse for the third time in a day? Or do I finally decide what I'm willing to lose? The pain is still burning, but under it, something new. A question I can't smother. What am I now that the chain is broken? And what is he if I don't reach back? Water dripped somewhere behind me, echoing through the shattered chamber. The torchlight jittered on slick marble. The salt line we'd both treated like a death sentence was nothing now. Just a smear between us, half ground into the stone by my boot, half erased by Thane's knee as he closed the distance. The smell of salt and old blood fought with torch smoke, and I couldn't tell which was worse. The broken signet ring sat between our hands. Thane's fingers brushed mine as he set it down. Too deliberate for an accident. Too casual for a confession. His skin was rough, calloused. He could have snapped the ring in two, or my wrist. He didn't do either. My cut hand throbbed, blood rising bright red against gritty salt. Thane's thumb pressed at the edge of the wound, not exactly gentle, but careful. I should have pulled away. I didn't. I kept my voice steady. Fake it till I make it, right? You said the curse would kill me if I crossed, but you crossed first. So which part is actually killing me? He watched me, unmoving, eyes sharp, unreadable, torchlight catching in the gold flecks around his irises. Thane always gave you silence first, as if words were a ration he was saving for winter. My skin prickled under the weight of it.
It's not the salt.
That landed with the grace of a brick. Obvious, but not what I wanted. I tried to read him, but his face was locked down, every line drawn like a border I wasn't allowed to cross. The chamber seemed to squeeze smaller around us. His hand lingered over mine, fingers dusted with salt and blood. The contact was too fleeting, but it left a trail of heat where it passed, a warning or an invitation. My body didn't know which. He let out a breath. It carried torch smoke and something old, something that made my chest ache.
The bond is older than us.
Not curse. Bond. Language matters. Magic with a capital M. Palace rituals. Whispered threats. Things I was never supposed to know. I tried to laugh, but it stuck in my throat. The universe really knew how to choose its punchlines. I flicked my gaze to the ring, half expecting it to answer for him. Nothing. Just us, the ruined crest, and a history nobody wanted to claim. Let me guess. Someone decided a doomed prince and an assassin would spice up royal politics. The corner of his mouth twitched. Not a smile, more a spasm. His shoulders set tighter. This wasn't a story he wanted to tell, but it was one I needed to hear. His next words came out like stones dropping in a well.
They told me to kill you. Ritual night.
My tongue went dry. I remembered pieces. The marble cold under my back. Thane's blade at my throat. A heartbeat so loud it drowned out the world. I'd always assumed I survived by accident or incompetence. Now the air felt thick, like the curse was eavesdropping. He didn't look at me, but his hand shifted, knuckles brushing my wrist as if drawn by habit. I could see the scar at his wrist, thin and pale, exactly where the first salt line had been etched. I'd noticed it before, never let myself ask why. I tried for humor, my usual shield.
You lost your nerve, or was killing me just too easy?
He shook his head, Deliberate. Slow. For once, his fingers tightened. Not threatening, but anchoring himself to the moment. To me,
I lost you once.
something inside me jolted. Lost me? I'd been plenty lost, but Thane's voice made it sound like a wound he never let heal. His expression said the same. Exhaustion, regret, something sharp around the edges. The firelight caught the scar at his jaw, a twin mark to the ring, maybe. I wondered what memory lived there. All my rehearsed jokes dried up. I was just a body stuck between escape and gravity, leaning toward him because it hurt less than pulling away. The broken ring pressed against my palm, cold, sticky with my blood. He finally, carefully, tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear, fingers trembling, then caught himself and let his hand fall. Accidental? Maybe, but I memorized the feeling anyway. Our faces were close, too close for comfort, not close enough for certainty. His breath was warm, tinged with smoke. My heart tried to hammer a hole in my ribs. No, not that cliché, it tried to escape through my throat. I wanted to close the distance, just once, to see if the world would end or finally begin. But I didn't. Neither did he. Instead, we pressed our hands together over the broken ring, blood and salt grinding between our skins. The ring's ruined crest pulsed with sudden heat, torchlight flickering off gold like a signal no one else would ever see. He looked at me, maskless.
If you die, I die.
That was it. The line between curse and bond, between freedom and loss. Every time I reached for escape, he'd been pulling me back. Not as jailer, but as someone bound by the same chain. The chamber felt impossibly small. I leaned, just barely, until our foreheads brushed, a contact so brief the universe might have missed it. But I didn't. Behind us, the torch hissed. The signet ring, caught between us, flared gold, casting our joined hands in new light. I gripped his fingers tight, as if I could anchor both of us to this broken, bleeding moment. And for the first time, I didn't let go. A sliver of dawn slides through a crack above, thin as hope and twice as sharp. Dust glows in the blue haze, swirling where I breathe. Each inhale tastes of stone and the iron tang of my own blood. There's salt under my boots, but it isn't a line anymore. Just scattered grains, dissolving into the fractured marble. Thane's hand is wrapped around mine. Still, despite everything, curses, knives, accusations, running from the kind of past you need a second lifetime to regret, we're sitting here, fingers tangled. My skin remembers the first time I touched him. Back then, it was violence. Now, there's warmth where his thumb brushes my wrist, a heat I can't blame on the torch nearby. He studies the cut on my palm, brows drawn tight. I'm not sure if he's counting how many times I've bled for him, or if he's realizing, finally, that I'm not planning to run.
You're shaking.
Honestly, understatement of the century. My pulse is all uneven, a hiccup in every beat. I open my mouth, but sarcasm dies somewhere between my tongue and the roof of my mouth. Could be hypothermia, I offer. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Or existential terror. Flip a coin. He doesn't laugh. I want him to. Instead, he tightens his grip, careful with the bandage he tied himself.
We can still walk away.
Is that an offer? A warning. I don't pull free. For once, I'm not the first to move. The air is thick with stone dust and something older. Fear, maybe, but also a question neither of us has managed to say out loud. I look at where the salt line used to be. Gone. No barrier anymore. All that's left is the mark my blood made when I crossed, streaked, and faded. There's nothing keeping us apart except the parts of ourselves we haven't forgiven. A sudden shiver runs through me. I hate how much I want to believe him. I hate how close I am to trusting that if I let go, really let go, I won't shatter. But I choose him anyway. I slide the signet ring from my pocket. The same one that started this whole mess. It glints in the dawn, bright as accusation. I press it into his palm. Not a test, not a threat, just surrender. His fingers close over mine. For a second, nothing happens. The only sound is the faint drip of water behind us. The world holds its breath. Then a surge of heat, sharp and blinding. Light sears along our joined hands. Not pain, exactly, but the kind of intensity that makes you want to scream and laugh at once. Salt vaporizes, blood dries, the curse shatters like spun glass. There's a pressure in my chest, and then nothing. For the first time since this nightmare started, I can breathe. The silence afterwards is almost insulting. No fanfare, no prophecy echoing thunder. Just Thane's hand in mine, steady and warm, and the soft crunch of debris as I shift. He stares at me like I'm the last good secret left in the world.
It's over.
Except it isn't. Not completely. My body aches, every nerve raw. But for once, the ache feels survivable. I reach for him. He doesn't let go. We sit in the wreckage, dawn spilling over fractured stone. I catch sight of something wedged under a slab of marble. An envelope, sealed with a wax crest I don't recognize. My name is written on it. In my own handwriting. I pick it up. The letter is warm, impossibly so, heavy as fate. My fingers linger on the seal. I don't open it. Not yet. We're free. The salt is gone. But somewhere a new question is waiting. Some choices change everything. Cael and Thane could have let fear have the final word. Instead, they chose each other. Would you have trusted the one who broke you, just to break a curse? If today's story left you wondering what's hidden in that letter, a like or comment helps bring more stories like this to you. I hope you come back for the next secret. There's always another.